Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for those who watch the replay. Can't wait till I get um, like getting over 100 people to watch my videos. That would be an awesome goal. So for my lives and getting at least 100 people, then we can go to 1,000. Then we can go to 10,000. So let's do this. Let's do this, everybody. So like and subscribe and share it out so people can be a part of the Guru Mama community. So welcome, everybody. So what's going on? It's crazy. If you noticed yesterday there was a blackout. I guess somebody was stealing copper wire in Calgary and a whole section of Calgary. So they say it went out. Of course, I saw the blackout and went through the fog. It's really weird to see just the eeriness of, and it's still foggy today, which is really, crazy weather-wise. And weather everywhere is just really bizarre, just bizarre today. So, couple things. I just want to share a video with somebody I watch, and I'm gonna share screen, share, and we're gonna do him, and we're gonna share. So this person that I watch, his name is the German in Venice, and I watch the German in Venice, my dude. Been watching him for before, just I think I started watching him just as the pandemic started. So I'm not going to put on his sound, but just say maybe I will.
Straight into the ocean. How many liters and liters of water?
It was probably some flooding.
So flooding. But what he's doing.
Calva City Fire.
Today I wanted to go to downtown LA. I want to show you what's going on over there.
So, and this is where he starts to show some of the homeless people.
Well, he
these
has
are
a
people
broom. He's probably getting the water out.
We
see
don't
way
think about
more
this, right?
encampments down the Ballona Creek because nobody really can get to it.
So lots
I don't think the
going on
police
there.
are going to walk.
And I don't want to get in infringement.
Los Angeles.
So to see how many homeless people, and then because of the flooding, are getting. So the reason I'm showing you this, put you back here. The reason I'm showing you this is that just to show you that people are getting one, moved around, one, because of where Neptune is. The other thing is with the square that's coming up with this new moon square in Uranus. So crazy events happening, and they're happening all over. I understood that there was a blackout in Toronto and one in Fort McLeod. Was it Fort McLeod or Fort McMurray? Sorry, had one just the other night. So odd, grid issues coming up. Just other strange events. Let's go to the EU and the nuttiness that's going in the EU. You won't hear half the stuff that is going on, but I was wondering why. One of the things for me, I was wondering why they were taking away all this food and destroying all these food in the markets. Well, I guess it's because the farmers aren't getting paid, for one, and the people who own the grocery stores are making millions and millions of dollars. The other thing too is that a lot of the produce and everything that they are receiving isn't from their farms, right? So they're getting produce and stuff from other places. This is what they do, very cheaply, and then the farmers that are farming in the countries are getting undercutted and aren't getting paid. Same here in Canada, in the United States. So we're finding a lot of farmers, they're getting pissed. Now, I gotta say, when was protesting in Europe, sure the hell wasn't the protesting of the trucker convoy that we had in 2022. These guys are ruthless, just ruthless in the shit that they do, but they are making a point. They have to, it's like you have to get so ruthless to a point that, okay, do you see what's going on? Do you understand what's going on in order for things to begin to change? And that's, that's the same with everything. It's like people are not going to make the change, are not going to do anything until it gets to such a core, such a ruthlessness that they wake up. When it starts to harm their children, when it starts to harm the things, their liability, their way of life, then they start to say, oh shit, things are bad. Yeah, they are bad. But you just decided not to look at it or not to pay attention to it because you felt that's just, why should I? Why should I worry about that? That's not really it's not my problem. It's somebody else's problem. It doesn't affect me. It affects somebody else, right? So this is really big wake-up calls. Distribution centers, they are just tearing up the roads, literally. Different fast food chains, because their meat comes from a very cheap place. Or, as some people were afraid of, they could be lab-grown meat in some of these franchises. I'm not sure if that's true, but allegedly, that's what I have understood and heard. So they're tearing up the in front of these. And that's not saying that the ones in different countries work differently with different franchises, just letting you know. So that doesn't mean the ones in Canada, it's just like our rules are a hell of a lot different than the rules in the United States, and how they process their meat. How we process our meat here in Canada aren't the same. Our regulations and the way that we work are differently, just like the dairy farmers. Dairy farmers have a quota here. Dairy farmers in the United States don't have a quota. So that's why their milk is somewhat cheaper than ours. So it's just regulations. Things are a little different. But in saying that, it's getting to a point that even, with so many of the regulations, things are getting out of control. Things, this is where, when you look at the structure of the how things are supposed to be done, people want it to work under the structure. Just, this is the way it's done. This is the way we're supposed to do it. Now we've entered into a lot of Aquarius energy. The Aquarius energy say, no, we don't want to do it that way. That way doesn't work. This isn't right. This isn't how we need to be doing it. So the changes are starting to come, and they're going to be coming in a very radical way. And as I said, they have to come in some form of radicalness. Otherwise, people are not going to awaken. It's just like the border crisis, and seeing, what's happening with the border crisis and allowing people in. And they're even coming into Canada. And people they're paying, what was it, $6,000 US plus to get to go from New York into Ontario. So there's a huge influx of immigrants, illegal immigrants, coming into Canada as well. It's just we're not seeing it so much maybe here, but back east, they're going to be feeling it first before any of them start to migrate out into this area. And so these changes, this evolutionary change, these rebellions, and are getting people to really awaken, and awaken in a way that is industrious, that is crazy. I'm going to say the word crazy, but they're also where it's like inevitable, because we couldn't go continually going the way that we are doing, and turning the blind eye that we've been doing for so long. And in turning that blind eye has caused what is happening. And turning a blind eye and not questioning and just going along with it has brought this forward. Now, Pluto, what he does when he goes to an Aquarius, he brings up the underbelly of the shit that isn't working, right? We see that with Capricorn, the shit that wasn't working, the governments, the institutions, the schools, the corporations, right? This is what, the religions, these aren't working. But now we have where, with Pluto being in there in Aquarius, is disrupting that, taking what was going on over here, bringing it into here and saying, okay, where's our community? Where are our groups? Why aren't we working together, per se, than trying to strip things down? And February, with everything coming in, and we got the moon going over Venus, going over Mars, then, and this is in the dark phases of the moon. This is in the bright where you're going to see shit happen. So we know with the dark phases, which we are now in the balsamic phases, as we're moving up into the new moon, things are going to get very chaotic. Things are going to be getting very disruptive even more. And some you won't see it, or it won't be in your face until after the new moon, till after, when that moon starts going into Pisces and moving, and then the sun moves into Pisces on the 19th. So a lot of the energies that are coming in right now, we're going to feel them, but we're not going to see it. So that feeling of tiredness, overwhelmness, anxiety, not being able to see everything fully of what it is that you are wanting to do, fear rising up because, why isn't it going the way I want it to go? Or how come it's like, yeah, that all these emotions are coming up, even though that we're in air, but air, thinks about it. So all of this is going on in the head. Oh, what about this? What about this? I mean, air signs can be neurotic. God bless you guys, but it's like, oh my God, I got a cut. Is it going to get infected? Do I need to go to the doctor? Do I need stitches? It's like, put a fucking Band-Aid on it. You'll be fine. But air can, just because they overanalyze it all. And then of course, in comes Aquarius. Well, you just never know. It could be something totally that you wouldn't even have thought about. And then they're just freaking out about the total unknown that they don't know anything about. And this is, here it's like, in comes the mother, in comes Gaia, in comes the divine. I'm going to call in Brigitte because she's been since the embolic has been so powerful in my life, just calling her in for everything. Bringing that groundedness, right? Bringing in that groundedness is so important, and allowing ourselves to have that groundedness, having that centeredness, because everything is just bubbling up and going crazy. And we're seeing it in weather patterns, because the weather is, Uranus in Taurus, and it's part of the weather patterns, part of the control. And we're seeing things that we don't normally see. Just like I was showing you the clip with what's happening in LA. They don't see that. That's not typical of this time of year with the weather and the amount of rain that they're getting. So it's very odd, very odd. Here in Calgary, it's just, everything's just, foggy, weird. We don't get fog like this. I mean, we get fog, but this just feels different. It feels, it almost feels made up, if that makes any sense. So some of this, it just feels like somebody made this up. Something's doing something, right? And again, people aren't going to see. They're going to just continue on. I don't want to see the blinders until, like what's happening in Europe, people start getting pissed off, right? And it's not dry, and Alberta's dry. Exactly. It's very moist, and it's just this doesn't make sense. This is just too weird and eerie. 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row. I don't know how long it's going, but usually by the afternoon or something, the sun comes in and sort of burns it all off, but there's no burning it off. Like, the sun rose earlier today, this is like, the sun was at 8:04 today, and next week the sun will be rising before 8 a.m. Hallelujah on that one. But you were talking to Jared about that last night. Happened last year too. Yeah, I know it did happen last year, but it just, oddly enough, it feels different. It just feels more intense. That intensity is there. So we're feeling that intensity. We're feeling all of that as we're building up to this new moon in Aquarius. And this is bringing in where there is going to be some kind of, and I'm going to say, some kind of black swan event is going to be coming in. And where a black swan event is something that is very unexpected, we're not expecting it. You know, you can speculate on many different things, but with the sun and moon squaring over to Uranus, you know, this is where, you know, we had Saturn squaring Uranus, which was pretty crazy in 2020 and 2021. But this is like, you know, with this new moon, we're not seeing it all. Now, Mercury is with Pluto right now, and Mercury's not going to be here for too long. Mercury, within another less than about 2 weeks, he's going to be in Pisces. And then it's like he's with Saturn by the 28th. So by the 21st or 22nd, Mercury goes into Pisces, and then on the 28th, he's up next to Mr. Timekeeper, Karma in Pisces, in you know, nuzzling up to Saturn. So there's going to be some kind, because he's going to be bringing information from Pluto, Saturn's buddy. You know, it's like, hey, what's going on with Saturn? What's going on with that? Going over to lovely, you know what's going Pluto going over to Saturn, saying, this is what's going on. Do you see this? And remember, Mercury is a trickster. Mercury doesn't always tell the truth. Well, tells the truth, but doesn't tell it fully. Gives you half truths, not really seeing everything fully. And the way that, you know, he's kind of like when you make the 3 wishes with the genie. You got to be careful in how you word it, you know? So this is where this is going forward. Now, as we move in, well, April is going, because we're into eclipse season. And we got a full solar eclipse that is going to be hitting that X spot in Texas, coming in from the east instead of coming in from the west. So we are going to be seeing something, you know, and we've already seen what's going on in Texas, but I think there's going to be something that's deeper, and that's going to be more explosive, that is going to be going on in there, because, I mean, it's a solar eclipse in Aries with Chiron, and yeah, you know, and with Mars, you know, Mars isn't there, thank God, but it's going to be with, you know, with that Mars energy, because Mars is a dispositor of Aries. So again, we have these explosions, these disruptions that are coming in, and yeah, maybe he's already gone. We kind of figure he's already gone. It's just like some kind of AI kind of alien being that's there. You know, he was never there running the country, and we know that. So there's, you know, there's an alien force that is in running the country, you know, that isn't supposed to be running the country. But it's through these disruptions is the awakening. Are the frequencies rising? So it's like, you know, you're getting, it's like a shamanic death and rebirth, right? That's what we're going. It's like, here you go, and then whoom, it's like, whoa, now I see this. Oh, now I got to deal with that. Oh, this is, so it's a very transformational energy, but it is bombarded upon our body, upon us trying to work within the new frequencies, along with, you know, going through, and I just like going through this transfer. That's why I keep seeing plasma everywhere. It's this plasma film that I just keep on seeing, that we're trying to work on through to get through it. And it's quite it's durable. It's very durable, but trying to get through it. And it's very much, you know, that matrixy kind of webbing energy, a frequency. And it's not just, it's these frequencies, because I just keep seeing the different forms of the vibrations that are coming forth, that are getting us to move with them and go with it and say, yeah, this is horrible. You know, the French dug up a road. Trust the fucking French. And they're plowing a road. They're digging up this road. I don't know which one it is, but it's one of the main ones, it seems. And they're digging up a whole lane, and they're plowing it, and they're seeding it. You just like, wow, right? So it's awakening the EU. The EU Parliament, just by the way, they're having an election, but you don't really get to vote on who's going to be in there. So it's like really not elected people. It's like a bunch of fucking bullshit. Yeah, I do too. I just think every time I go and I find you won't see this on mainstream, right? Canada needs to start this. I think one of the things with yes, definitely, I totally agree. But what happened to them in 2022 and the overreach of the government, even though there was we know there was an overreach of the government, there is where the Canadian government was brutal. It was really brutal to these people. I mean, two of the young boys from the border down in Alberta were just released. They made a plea deal, and two are still in jail after 4 years of being in there. I think it's like, yeah, we're going on 4 years. And then we have, Big Red and in having to go back to court in Ottawa coming in March again. So, the thing is that a lot of these people, of what it's caused them and the overreach of the government. And it's like, it's almost where in doing that, do I dare say this on public media? To do that, it has to be a total overthrow of the government. Something that severe that Canada has to do, which I can, when I looked at looking within the astrology and the predictions, the two places I saw huge places of disruption and revolution was Canada and Australia. Two places that people are just saying, fuck it, and saying we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going, it's even what's happening to our premier. I don't want to get too in depth with it, but it's what, where she came into, I've talked to other parents. We drop off Mateus every day, and every parent that's out there has said, yeah, we agree with her. Yeah, we want our children learning math. We want our children learning English. We want our children learning things in school. We don't need them to be looking at anything that is, pornography, or understanding, like teaching somebody who's Mateus's age how to do a BJ. It's like ridiculous. Like, what the fuck is that? They don't need to know that. They don't need to, that's not within their mentality as well. That's basically abuse. That's sexual abuse. So for her standing up and just making those guidelines, and that for many parents, they're totally agreeing. Of course, the 15-year-olds are going to fucking rebel. The reason why you rebel at 14, 15, 16, you're in a Saturn opposition. What is Saturn? Saturn is law, regulations. It's karma. It's like, you've got to do it this way, because Saturn doesn't give a shit if you're not going to do it his way. If you don't give a shit, what's going to happen, right? It's like, he's like saying, well, fuck it. You want to go fuck yourself? Go ahead. Go do it. I'll watch, but I'll be here. But you're going to, I'm going to make you understand. I'm going to make you learn. You're going to learn this, right? This is to form a group to fight back. Yeah. This is where it's like you wouldn't, good luck in getting on the news as a parent who's for it, because they're not going to interview you. They're going to interview everybody else. And that's part of what's happening again in Europe. That's part of what's happening, with people. They're just saying, they're rising up. They're saying this is bullshit, right? And toddlers run off their emotions. Yes, they do. Try get a toddler, a 3-year-old out of the store when they're having a tantrum. It's like you're pulling like 100 pounds of potatoes along the ground. Just like, and the kid only weighs like 20 pounds, right? This similar energy before WW2. Yeah, where the kids were reporting against the parents, and parents are losing their rights. Definitely. Exactly. And that's what they want, because you control the kids, you control the narrative, you control when you have control of the children, then you have control of the future. And that's where, when you have somebody like, not everything I agree with Danielle, but I mean, a lot of what she's coming out with and standing up for is huge. And the backlash that she's going to be getting, right? And of course, we'll blame it on Tucker Carlson, but I don't don't think Tucker has a whole lot to do with our legislation. He might have some suggestions, but I mean, for him coming here was a huge wake up. Now he's in Russia right now. He just did the interview with Putin, which I think is absolutely fabulous, because you need to hear from the other side and have those debates, have those questions. And that's all part of Aquarius. Aquarius wants to build the community. In order to build the community, you got to have those conversations. You may not agree. And that's the whole thing. It's like, I may not agree with everything everybody says, which is probably 99.9% of people, whatever. Scorpio personality comes out again. But it's like, oh, okay, but that's the way you want to live. Cool. Right. God bless you. You do you. But don't you put your you on me, because I will just say fuck you, right? It's getting that meshing and getting that together. But remember, Pluto's going to be there for 20 years. And Pluto is radical change. This is where he brings in that revolutionary energy. And this is where some of my predictions that I made, which isn't, with Pluto going into Aquarius, aren't very nice, because I go back, because you got to use history to understand how things are going forward. We haven't lived in this energy before. We've lived, we have many timelines that are coming in, but to actually have Pluto where Pluto is with a new moon, and then Mercury's going to be there, and then in another week or so, Mars is going to be there. And then, of course, here comes, little Missy will be coming in as well. Venus, it's living in this really extreme radical times, in a time where we have actually lived in a very prosperous, not having to worry, go to the street, don't have to worry about getting shot in the head, where if you go back to places like 1778 or even further back, life was revolutionary. Life was, you don't know sometimes if you'd live week to week, day to day. You had to grow your own food. You had to have connections. You had to have community. If you didn't have that, you would not survive. We now live in a very individualistic world where, I don't have to depend on anybody, basically. So you think, I could just go ahead and do what I want, be what I want, go to the grocery store when I want, buy my Mars bar when I want. They didn't have that. And now we're feeling that type of energy of going in. This is where we're feeling where it's like people are getting to a point where like, no, I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to listen to what those politicians or what this person who is so far out of touch of what I do, of my reality, tell me how I should live. Tell me what I should wear, what I should say. And that radicalism is coming in. Exactly. The only difference was government's telling us to grow food and handing out chickens. Now that is no, chicken poop. Oh no, you can't have chickens. Yeah, but that's because they want such dependence upon the government. That's one of the reasons why they're destroying a lot of those foods. A lot of the foods that they're destroying in Europe right now are genetically modified. Right? So they're going through and it's like, oh, well, do you want to eat a tomato that's from China? Do you know how they grew that tomato in China? Or do you want to get your tomato from the guy down the road who you talk to, who your local farmer, right? That's the awakening, right? That's the one from, China is like, yo, well, we just put a little bit of hormones in there, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You got hormones already in your body. We're just adding a little bit more. Hydroponics in the garage. Exactly. That's backyards. Apparently they're saying because of the carbon emissions that the gardens are doing. Now, some of the new neighborhoods, they will not let you have a garden in some of the new neighborhoods. They or even like if you have some of the new neighborhoods are so like freaking small. The front lawn's a postage stamp where you can't even grow anything anyways. Well, actually, you could if you really got into it. 90 square foot farming, box farming, you could grow a hell of a lot of food on that, right? But that's the thing, is that they don't want you to have that. Because you want to be uniform, you want everything to look the same and whatever else. I'd rather I love a neighborhood that there's different houses, different gardens, and somebody who decided to paint their house purple, cool. Or that person decided to have a green door, yes. They're saying, oh, I know, I want to shoot that person who said that. It's like saying that wine's not good for you either. I kind of cried when I saw the EU dumping the wine. That just kind of hurt me. That hurt. Seeing all that red wine going down the street. I was like, no! No, please, not the wine. The trauma. I don't know what it's doing to me. But yeah, the coffee, because of what the plantation farmers do. Now, if you study coffee, like, and get to know and understand what a lot of these plantation farmers do and how they work with the time to move to Italy. Yeah, you know what? And even in France, they have fountains with wine. In Spain, fountains with wine. May not be the best wine, but you could go have your afternoon, drink a wine, go take up your bottle. Anyway, they know how to live. But it's that, where you look at, plantation farmers with coffee, how they actually work with the soil. And it takes 5 years to get 1 pound of coffee off a coffee tree, right? 5 years. And that's, where they have to work and they have to cultivate and to work with the coffee to get it. And some of the places where they do grow coffee in some of the areas are places where the land wouldn't have been utilized, and they've revamped the whole area. And they help people. They give people fucking jobs, That's the whole thing. They give people jobs. And I work in a lot of those places especially if they are working for different coffee companies and stuff, they have to give them that wage that is part of whatever whatever the country says is the wage that has to be paid and stuff, so the people can live. A lot of people, Spain and Portugal is so cheap right now. Land is cheap, although some places, it's a different looking at, you would have to get used to living in the structures, but some of those structures are like 500 years old, like, and how they were built and the whole bit. But a lot of them have land on it, which is very cool, that you can actually grow your own food and work and have, they have olive trees and they have nut trees and they have orchards and things like that, which is very cool. Right. And same in Spain. So there's places that are cheap. And a lot of Brits moved to Spain. So you got the what do they call the expat that have moved to Spain and have made beautiful communities where people went and to build up communities. So it's there are places, and Spain is actually, when you look at the astrology, is one of the safer places that for the coming years to be living. Canada is going to be extremely rough, and the reason why Canada is going to be rough is because of the amount of taxes that people are going to be paying. Right now, with the new Saddle Dome, or whatever they're calling it, that they just built for concerts and stuff, they're going to add a 9.5% tax on top of the ticket. So plus whatever, if you got it from Ticketmaster, their tax that they put on it, however you pay, so a 9.5% tax. So the taxes in Canada are going to be extremely high, and that's going to be a huge one. Yeah, I know we already paid into that shit, but guess what? You get to pay again. Aren't you happy? Come on, let's just pay again, because that's what we love to do, because we got to print all that money, because it's got to go to fight Ukraine and go and fight the Middle East, and because they need help, you know let alone that people are living in tents here, as I showed at the beginning. LA is has always had a lot of homeless people, but even more. Canada now is having a huge influx of homeless people. And some of these homeless people aren't just drug addicts or people who are down and out. Some of them are families. And now we're bringing in a lot of immigrants in that haven't come in legally. Like how much I'm just thinking how much trouble just for Steve and I after we got married and everything we had to go through immigration and prove that we got married and prove it wasn't this and da 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 da. It's ridiculous. And some people who are actually going through the system properly are still waiting on shit. And yet somebody can walk in and it's like, oh, okay. You're how old? Oh, you're a young male under the age of 25. Oh, okay. Here you go. Like, fuck. But what you're setting them up, you're giving them a place to live, and then they could do their drugs and alcohol. And I don't know if this is part of how people wake up, because they're just saying, well, who is this person? Why are they in my neighborhood? Day robberies back east are becoming huge. These gangs of 4, and they're men, go around and their faces all covered and stuff, and they're breaking into places and stealing everything during the day. So more day break-ins are coming in, and they're finding that they're illegals. So it's that you want, like, I mean, my husband's wasn't illegal, but my husband's an immigrant. My dad was, firstborn Canadian. I'm secondborn Canadian. On my dad's side, firstborn Canadian on my mother's side. Right? It's just they came over to work. I mean, my grandparents came over after World War I, because Britain was a shithole. There was no work. There was nothing. It was a lot of things had to be rebuilt. People lost so much money. Young men were killed. They were taken to the slaughters, to the trenches. So they needed a better place. They needed somewhere where they could grow and have their family and make something happen, right? And allow for a better way of living. And many people from India came here because they wanted a better life. And they came in. You talk to some of these old Sikh guys who are hilarious. They'll tell you they had to get along with people. They had to go and they had to learn English and get the jobs. But as you say, yeah, different morals. But that's all part of it. The values, our belief systems, they're going to be they're changing. But then you're going to find that they're going to come back. Like it's a huge retaliation of saying, no, we need to bring back that meaningful of what it is to have the community, what it is to have one another, and then asking for things to change so it's in line with their religion. Don't get me going on that. And that's the whole thing. It's like but the thing, I was watching that's my dog going crazy because the mailman's coming. Watching a show on, it was I don't know how a Muslim, are they, I don't mean to be offensive, but preacher, a Muslim leader, and he was in England, and he was broadcasting to his community on the right to lie, and how lying is okay if they are not part of their religion, and because those who are not a part of this religion don't have our moral compass, and they're and he went on and saying how horrible anybody is if they're not Muslim. So this is interesting, because it's like, oh, well, we can go lie to the police, and we don't have. That's why they haven't found that idiot who threw acid on that mother and her children, right? And he was an illegal. And and the other part too is that they found out that he's got sexual charges up against him. So, and they've allowed him. So that's the other thing that's so scary. You don't know that you got sexual predators that are out there. It's bad enough that they're trying to make, that we got them in our fucking schools trying to teach our kids shit, right? I thought Canada should change for me. It, I know, but that's, it's like it goes on and on, right? So this energy goes on, and that's where Aquarius, it just like and Pluto is, he's the mastermind. He's a mastermind. He sits out there, and right now, the way the orbit is with Pluto right now, um, where he is at this time, he's basically in the underworld. He's the farthest away from the sun. He's in the underworld. He's in the darkness. So, he is bringing forth, yeah, and there is many layers, and he gets to the point, and he goes down and he down and he down and down and down to get to the core root. That's what he's done for the last 15 years in Capricorn, and that's why it's so much longer in the signs that are further out. You know, when he gets into Aries and Taurus and that, there's like only a couple years or 5 years, so that he's not in there as long as he is as he goes into the other signs. I won't be around when he gets into the other signs like Aries and stuff, because in 20 years I'm going to be 80, so I'll probably get through some of Pisces, but we'll see after that. See how long I hang on after that. But that's, our revolutionary change. And as we are coming up to this new moon in Aquarius, we're going to be feeling that intensity more and more within our lives, more and more around us. We're going to see how people are going to start to form together and come together with one another. And that's going to be where we really have to look at, where do you want to take a stand in your life? How do you want to make a difference in your life? What is that difference that you want to make within your world? And how are you wanting to really, make the changes? Because this new moon is powerful. And the lunar insight is long because of all the downloads that are going to be coming along with, especially with Mercury. So people getting downloads. And this is where, the sparking, the star sparks, this is the star spark degrees for this new moon, is also completely on point. And it's pretty radical when you start looking into, the different elements that are coming in and the radical shift that's incoming. It's exciting. It's absolutely enticing, with everything coming in. There's, because there's community, visionary gifts, humanity, and the collective. And this lunar moon, marks the lunar symbolic as well, as it starts this lunar new year, with the Chinese New Year and the lovely wood dragon coming in. So this new moon is joined by Mercury and Pluto, majorly kicking off. And this is in the second decade of Aquarius, the journey. So this is like a really important part in the sky. And the tropical Aquarius is sidereal Capricorn. And Capricorn is the beginning of intention and baptism in the celestial dark waters in the sky. So Capricorn is anciently seen as the sea goat, part fish, symbolizing the transition. When looking at the constellations and going backwards, like through the ages, from water of the womb of the great mother to coming out onto the land and being born into the material world. When looking at when you get to the constellations and going forward and into sidereal, which is another way of looking at the person's chart, Capricorn or tropical Aquarius, that we enter back into a celestial dark waters. The dark waters are this turning, this birthing, this energy. And yeah, because sometimes you can't see everything, clearly. You can, you want to move forward and you're kind of scared. So it's the water bearer and the Pisces fish. So the sun will get about 2 days after this new moon. So if you are wanting to do any rituals for this moon, I would definitely start just the day before, like today would be, good to start with the new moon. I would do it tomorrow, preferably if you're going to do anything special with the new moon rituals, and then work through the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even, part of Sunday if you wish. Because of the stargates that are coming in, we also have, with this, stargates that are coming in is about fertilizing the two feminine units. This is the star card. So in the tarot, so this is a huge star of Sirius and the 7 stars of the Pleiadians. So 2 stargates, this beautiful stargates of energies that are coming in, bringing forth these transformation and changes. And this is, so beautiful. Have you read Trudeau's chart? Yes, I have read Trudeau's chart. Trudeau is now, because of, he's a Capricorn, and he does have a triple trine in his chart, which has really given him the luck that he's had. And he's coming up to a lot of turmoil, and basically a lot of things that he's thought that he could get away with are really starting to bombard him. And he's going to be feeling that more, like with the eclipses that are going to be coming up. And it'll be interesting when he's going to try and call the election. There's going to be a massive push against him. Like he's feeling the pressure, he's feeling the that where it's kind of like your luck's run out. So he's really feeling that luck run out on him. So that's quite interesting. He is as I said, that's why, with that trine that he's had for so long, he's gotten away with a lot of things, right? But being a Capricorn, Capricorns, they can be fabulous, wonderful people, and they're doing good, and they're working at their thing, and they're really wanting to create what it is that they want to create and bring people in. And then you got the Capricorns that it can be very underhanded and like, yeah, I'm working for the good, but in the back, they're doing everything that is devious and underhanded, and him, Fauci, I can't remember, a couple other ones that are Capricorn. Biden is a Scorpio in the 12th house. It's amazing he's still alive. Like, they have him propped up, however he's propped up. But the other thing too is that I can see them either killing him off in some way before the election, right? And so there's that's going on. Those damn fucking Capricorns. And then we have Trump is a Gemini. So that's why people can't handle him. A lot of people can't handle Geminis because Geminis are mouthy. They're the twins. So sometimes you don't know what they're up to. They can be kind of quiet and reserved, and then they can just be totally crazy and radical and out of control. So Trump is, I know, me too. My husband hates him. My husband just cannot. He despises him to the core. King Charles is a Scorpio too, with a Taurus moon. I just looked at his chart. He is going through health problems. They have to do with the water problems, like water within it. So that water could be anything to do with the lungs, or it could be doing anything to do with the lymph nodes. So it's, being that he had an enlarged pancreas, that I think that is because of and it could be doing with the bladder too, because the pancreas is right up there. Enlarged prostrate. Sorry. Do you think William will be king? Yeah, I do. I do think William be king. But it feels odd. It feels just like there's something like, when I feel into that. So it feels weird. The reason why his hands, and he makes jokes about his hands, actually. He does. There's like seeing him making jokes, but that has to do with blood flow. and his blood flow and problems with his heart, so heart condition and stuff like that. So he's got some issues. And the thing is that if you go into the lineage of a lot of the men, besides Prince Philip, but a lot of the men don't live as long as the women in the royal family. The women usually live a lot longer. You saw that with Queen Victoria. You saw that with Queen Elizabeth, and the Queen Elizabeth's mom, I mean, lived for quite a number of years. There goes my dog again. Sorry. So there's a Roxy. Stop it, Roxy. So you see, and Prince Philip's grandfather died of lung cancer. And people didn't know that. Like, they knew he was sick, but that's the other reason why the Queen says, in order for us to continue as royals, we have to be seen. So that's why the royals are usually out in public, doing a lot of public affairs, doing a lot of opening, clinics and visiting hospitals and visiting different areas and things like that, because they have to be seen in order to stay alive, to keep the reign going. Harry was just there, which I found quite interesting, and I think he just got the lowdown of what's going on. I think he's flying back now, but it's the order of things. Many people have, or some people have said that it's going to go to Harry. Now, the only way that it could go to Harry, as I said before, I know it intrigues me too. The only way it can go to Harry is that William and his whole family have to be dead, and that's including his children, because each child is in line. They even made the little one, little Charlotte, I think her name is, like she's in succession as well. For it to go to Harry, the thing is that because Harry's wife, Meghan, found it too difficult to be and stay in Britain, to stay in England. It was too much for her. People weren't nice to her. Boo hoo hoo. I mean, you married into the royal family. I don't know what the hell you were thinking, that it would be easy peasy and you just get a bed of roses every day. Well, you could get a bed of roses, but you still got work to do. You still got shit to do. Harry was supposed to be, one of the working royals, right? And to be a working royal, that means you have to get your ass out there and do charity work, right? And do the things that you need to do. I mean, if that was part of your core, supposedly, like you want to do good for other people, supposedly, allegedly, but then go around and cry about it and make some bogus charity in her son's name, that doesn't really do much. And the money doesn't seem to go to the charities. It goes other places. But that's where a lot of millionaires and billionaires do. They make charities, and the money doesn't really get to where it needs to go. But that's how they can save money. Interesting. I just find it interesting. I do find the royal family intriguing as well, and I do find it looking into the history and the things that to stay alive and useful, and their tinctures and stuff like that. But before Charles went in, he even started to talk about holistic healing. And now holistic healing, this is where you go into the royal family. Holistic healing can mean a whole different kettle of fish than what you think holistic healing would mean for you and I. But he wanted to get more into holistic healing, more into eating, the right foods. And I mean, most of the foods that the royal family eat is organic. They got a very strict diet that they have to follow. They're not allowed to eat any shellfish. They have to know exactly where the fish, if they do have like a salmon or something, they have to know exactly where the salmon came from and who caught it, kind of thing. So they do eat very organically their foods, and are very quite strictly on the foods that they do eat. No wonder they're so skinny. So, or the wives are anyways. Well, plus they have, they can afford a trainer and a nanny, and so all of that comes into play as well. For Kate, I think it has to do Kate's chart's interesting as well. Kate is a Capricorn. Her husband's a Cancer. She wears the pants in the family. She's a very much wanting to be in control. She's a very highly sexual woman. When you look into her chart, she has a little bit of perviness in her chart, which is interesting. Um, you know, she'll do it with anyone, kind of thing. But she comes out very prim and proper and very beautiful. And I think there's something to do either with a hysterectomy or something along that line that needed to be tended to. So they definitely would not say anything to do with a hysterectomy in the public, because that's a very private thing. Because she's getting up there to have children, but I mean, um, you know, to have children and stuff like that. I mean, she's not having any more. She's done her duty. That's why the king gave her a special gift. A very, I think, gave her a crown or something, or some bejeweling thing. He gave her for keeping the royal line intact. So she got a gift from the king. She probably got something else from the king too. Wouldn't put it past him. But I mean, that's the other, the deception and the perviness that goes in with the royals is quite in depth. It's not like, I know a lot of people watch The Crown. There's a lot, some of The Crown, yeah, but a lot of The Crown is quite fictional as well. The last part, this is my own opinion of The Crown. If you watched it, I don't like how they made Princess Di out. I don't. They make her as the victim. They make her as, oh, I'm so weak. I'm so this. I just like, oh my God, lady. It's like almost like I wanted to go through there and slap her across the fucking face and say, wake the fuck up. It's, even to marry anybody of wealth, of huge wealth. Oh, I loved Di too. I love her as a person in life, real life. I don't like how they portrayed her in the movie. I mean, I'm a Princess Di. I years ago, I had her sweater, the one with the little, I think there's like one little black sheep in the shirt's red and all the little sheeps are white. And then there's a little black sheep. That was her. That was her insignia, because she was the black sheep. So, but loved Princess Di. I mean, I when she died, I cried. I was just crying. I think I was nursing one of my babies, and hearing that she died. And then a few weeks later, Sister Teresa died. So, which was she was very good friends with Sister Teresa as well. So, this is where you start to, when it comes to a lot of things that are happening, we're going to, I know, you start to see things that distractions. So the things with the king is a very distraction of everything else that's going on, from the farmers disrupting in Ireland. I got like, you just pissed off the Irish and you pissed off the French. I know a bunch of the other countries have, they have tempers, but there's something about the rebellions when you get a bunch of French people rebelling. I mean, we're in the same astrological of 1778 to 17 going into the 80s, 1780s, which is the French Revolution. Of the French Revolution coming up, we're in alignment to the American Revolution, and and the rebellion happening in Ireland as well. So it's just, we're pissing off the wrong people. Pissing off the Canadians. I mean, it takes us a little bit of time to get us all riled up before we start to fight back. That's the thing. But it's coming. It's coming. So we're starting to see it more and more, and how things are going to unfold. So this weekend, we're only on Wednesday, I know, but this weekend is going to be intense. Like this new moon, out of all the moons of this year, This is the activation moon that is going to be the moon of the huge transformation and change for this year and for the coming years. This moon is going to be the one that is going to basically be the final drop in the bucket that makes everything start to overflow. And that's, that's where people are going to really start to feel it. I call 2024 is the year like 1776. I mean, everybody knows what happened in 1776, right? I hope. And, with that's, 1776 wasn't necessarily the year of the full revolution. It wasn't until 1778. But 2024 is that pivotal year that we need. L-theanine for this new. Yeah, you'll need L-theanine because that's a good thing. Everybody buy L-theanine. It's an amino acid that works in the brain, and we use it up. And if we're extremely stressed or overwhelmed with things, L-theanine will help to calm and bring in the calmness, bring in that peace, bring in where we need to come into that grounding. And I'm saying it's so, so important because it's just going to be extreme. And I'm putting my warning out. You'll hear I'll probably be warning again tomorrow. But you know what? On that warning, because I have a couple of readings to do, to set moon readings. If you want your moon reading, you can order your moon reading. They're $40. I got a couple of them to do. So here's the fairies. I love my fairies. Got to bring in the fairies. Through all of this, let's bring in the fairies. You want radical change? Let's bring in the fairies, man. Bring the fairies in. They'll bring in the change. They love revolution. They love things when everything starts breaking down. They just love that because they love to recreate and change things, That's what the fairies love to do. So, well, let's start off with the Queen of I Don't Give a Shit, which is the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of I Don't Give a Shit comes in because she doesn't give a shit. She's going off into her world, her passion, what she wants, how she wants to do it. She has her idea. She believes in her. That's, it says right there. She believes in herself. She believes in the direction where she wants to go. This is the queen of saying, this is what I'm going to do. She's fire energy. Okay. So she's that Aries, she's that Leo, and she's that Sagittarius coming in all at once. I will move over here. I'll do over there. I'll photobomb you. We'll have fun. We'll do this, but don't piss me off because look at who I have as my rulers. I have Jupiter and I have Mars. I have the sun. Everything shines my way and I do it the way I need to do it. So she loves people. She loves people. She wants to work with people. She's on the opposite end. So anybody who's a fixed sign, that's coming in, especially with all the energies with Pluto and the Aquarius. Remember, if you're not an Aquarius, of course, the Aquarius, the energy is right there intense. Then it squares off to Taurus and Scorpio. Then it bolts over into Leo. So Leo, God bless my Leos, are going to be feeling this bolt of a new moon. Okay? As it's squaring off over to Uranus, who's in Taurus, which then squares off to any points that you will be having in your Leo sign to an opposition to Scorpio. So if you see that energy and how it works, so then this is fixed energy that is having to be moving, having to go forward, having to make changes. Fixed energy doesn't like to do that unless it's on their terms. But when the shit hits the fan, it's like, I got to maintain my balance. I got to do what I do. But is the balance going to be everything that you think it's going to be? It might be a little bit out because the magician comes in. So the magician is a trickster, right? He's a little bit of a trickster. He's got that energy, that motivation. He wants to make things. He wants to change things. He wants to change the way that we do things. So, of course, he's with the Queen of I Don't Give a Shit. So in comes the magician and the Queen of I Don't Give a Shit, who want to make the changes, who want to make things radical and say, let's go get it, baby. Let's go do it. We're going to make those changes. We're going to do it. Whoa, but the moon comes in, but she is reversed. So there's some kind of block. Something's blocking because the moon is intriguing. The moon is like you can't really see anything. It's very powerful and intuitive and empathic, but she's reversed. So you're not going to be able, and plus it's a new moon, right? So the new moon as it goes into the waxing. So everything's not going to be seen as clearly as what you think it's going to be seen. And Uranus is there, so it's going to be some kind of change, some kind of activation that's going to happen that you have not seen before, and bring that forth. So that could get you to where you're wanting to understand the truth, but it's like you're not going to get everything that you need to know. So you have to really trust in the movement of going forward, and you got to just trust in that and continue on and know that things are going to come together. But you got to keep moving. Don't try and change things radically and all over the place right now. Not a time to do it. Not a time to just sort of like, oh, I'm going to just go over in this direction and reinvent myself. Not when the moon comes in reversed. No, don't do that. Just mama's just telling you, just don't do that, baby. There you go. Sending you guys off so much love. May the Lord and the Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you and all you say and all you be and you do. If you want to order my moon readings, let me know. And readings are on sale. Buy one, get one free. Have a energy healing class coming up in March. And you can buy me a coffee if that's all too expensive, because I always like coffee, or buy me a bottle of wine. No, just kidding. Buy me a bottle of wine. No. So have a blessed one, everybody. Have a blessed one. Sending you guys out so much love. And so much thanks for being part of my community and making my day just by being here. Bye-bye, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Let's feed those ducks.